This is Outnumbered. I'm Sandra Smith, and here today, Harris Faulkner, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Katie Pavlich, and today's hashtag one lucky guy, Jesse Waters, and he is outnumbered.
There we go. I'm wearing pants today, ladies. Sorry to disappoint.
Jesse, you know how weird that sounds?
Last time you were on, you had those cutoff shorts.
That's
I don't
right.
want people to get the wrong idea.
That's never again. That's the last time that happens.
We know that you're usually in your own world, but now you're in our world.
Oh, so. Now I'm intimidated. Excuse me.
Well, we can't wait to get your take on a couple of the big topics we've got coming up, because I know they could be considered a bit controversial, Mr. Waters.
Okay, we like controversy. Let's see what we got.
All right. Well, new fallout on Hobby Lobby. The Supreme Court ruling that family-owned companies can limit certain types of birth control in their Obamacare health plans if using them would violate their religious beliefs. Both parties seeking to turn the landmark decision to their advantage. Republicans hailing it as a victory for religious liberty and a slap at what they call an overreaching White House. But Democrats wasting no time using Hobby Lobby to raise fresh campaign contributions. And the White House calling on Congress to take action on a ruling it says endangers women's health.
President Obama believes that women should make personal health care decisions for themselves rather than their bosses deciding for them. Today's decision jeopardizes the health of women who are employed by these companies. We will work with Congress to make sure that any women affected by this decision will still have the same coverage of vital health services as everyone else.
Meantime, two Democratic senators facing steep re-election challenges in red states, quick to denounce the ruling. Alaska Senator Mark Begich saying, quote, "A woman's health care decisions should be between herself and in consultation with her doctor. I will continue to fight to protect all Alaskans' rights to privacy, and that includes a woman's right to make her own health care decisions." And Senator Kay Hagan, quote, "It is shameful that a woman's access to contraception is even up for debate in the year 2014. The choice about whether to use birth control should be between a woman and her doctor, not her boss, and no employer should be allowed to interfere with a woman's access to contraception." But Dems looking to rehash their attack on what they call the GOP war on women may want to watch out for Carly Fiorina, the former GOP Senate candidate and Hewlett-Packard CEO, launching a new pact to help Republicans win back the Senate by confronting Dems on that line of attack. Here's Fiorina on the Kelly File.
We have to combat this with the facts, which is part of what Unlocking Potential is all about. Women are half of this great nation. We are 53% of the voters. Point one, we're not single-issue voters. We care about every issue. Every issue is a woman's issue.
You know, Kimberly, it seems that the Republicans think that this Hobby Lobby ruling is going to work in their favor. The Democrats think it's going to work in their favor. Who's right here?
Well, I don't know. I wish some of the Democrats would actually read the opinion and not be so hysterical. This wasn't overturning Roe v. Wade. Women still have access, even under this Hobby Lobby decision, with that company to birth control. So I'm not quite sure what they're saying, but they are misstating the ruling and the law here. So as a lawyer, I take issue with that. This is a very specifically, narrowly tailored decision to closely held corporations, and there was this, really focused objection by Hobby Lobby to 4 of the specific abortive fashions. Okay, and that's like once it's implanted for then to it be released by taking these pills. So they were very specific about that. And it wasn't that women don't have access to other birth control; they do. So there are probably going to be other cases coming forward where, both sides may try to expand the reach of this ruling.
And Katie, without a doubt, we can all agree that this is going to shape the run-up to the November elections.
Well, this is what Democrats love to do. They love to use a false issue, which is a bogus war on women, to push false narrative. So yesterday we saw the White House, we saw Sandra Fluck, who of course is famous for taking off this debate, saying that now employers can take away women's right to contraception. That is absolutely absurd and completely false. Hobby Lobby offers 16 different forms of contraception to their employees through their health care plans. They've done it for a very long time. They're going to continue to do it. We're talking about them limiting 4 of them, which, as Kimberly pointed out, some can argue is not really contraception. They believe that it's abortion, which is a valid point. On the second point of them claiming this as a war on women, as if they have a monopoly, the Beckett Fund, which represented Hobby Lobby in front of the Supreme Court, Women Council, all of them, female attorneys. Businesswomen fought for this Hobby Lobby case, issuing briefs to the Supreme Court. This is about women running nonprofits. So this idea that somehow this is a war on women is not true. And you have people going as far as the White House saying this is about a boss taking away contraception, when it is exactly the opposite, completely opposite, and they're lying about it to get votes.
Well, Jesse, I want to get your take on this. We've got fresh reaction from Hillary Clinton on the Hobby Lobby ruling. Listen.
We're always going to argue about abortion. It's a hard choice, and it's controversial. And that's why I'm pro-choice, because I want people to be able to make their own choices. And it is... It's very troubling that a sales clerk at Hobby Lobby who needs contraception, which is pretty expensive, is not going to get that service through her employer's health care plan because her employer doesn't think she should be using contraception.
It's a lie.
Well, that's just not true, right, Jesse? I mean, the Hobby Lobby is going to continue to provide 16 forms of contraceptive to their
and it's about $9 a month, I think, at CVS. She's acting like Hobby Lobby all of a sudden is telling these women that work for them to wear a burqa or something like that. You know, it's like if someone said, you know, my boss isn't buying me a gun, he's denying me my Second Amendment rights. It doesn't make sense. Having access to contraception is not in the Constitution. She's dead wrong about that. And Hillary Clinton, I'm not surprised. This is her bread and butter. This is how she's going to try to win the White House. This is what she's going to go to. She needs the single ladies vote. I call them the Beyonce voters, the single ladies. Obama won single ladies by 76% last time, and they made up about a quarter of the electorate.
Yep, it's true.
You know, they depend on government because they're not depending on their husbands. They need things like contraception, health care, and they love to talk about equal pay.
Go ahead.
You know something that really struck me, though, and you guys saw us off camera, me react to this. I could almost hear the PR person for the book sale say, Hillary, work in the book title. You got to get in hard choices there. We started, though, with the key issue in all of this, and Democrats cannot run away from this. Critics, period, cannot run away. And that is the fact that what we're left with are like a Part B or an Ella. These are post-conception drugs that people have a religious exception to. They're post what they see existing life drugs. That means to them it's taking a life. And so you can still get your hands on those drugs, but somebody else is going to have to pay for them. Now the big question is, who will that somebody else have to be? Because you could argue all across America, if you're the taxpayer, maybe it offends your religious sensibilities as well. So can you just pass on the cost now through this Obamacare mandate to the taxpayers? That's one thing. The other has to be, what are we doing right now? We're talking about something in Obamacare that doesn't work for millions of people. They've got to change the topic.
That's right. And the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell actually used this Hobby Lobby ruling to call Obamacare the single worst piece of legislation to pass in the past 50 years. So it seems, Katie, that both sides are really going to use this heading into the midterms, but whose strategy is going to win?
I think it depends on how Republicans handle the war on women rhetoric. And we saw in 2012 that Republicans did not handle that well because they ran from it instead of addressing it head on. They're going to have to address it just like Carly Fiorina is trying to do. And they're going to have to say exactly kind of the things that I lined up. You know, this is not about a war on women. There are lots of women who actually support the Hobby Lobby case. And so you have to just debunk that narrative right away, immediately, and move on to other issues like the economy and how Obamacare has actually increased the premiums of young women by 100%, even though it was supposed to decrease their premiums.
But I argue that Republicans can run on this. Not Democrats say they can, but so can Republicans.
I think if you're the Republican, the way you want to frame this issue as Obamacare is a debacle, this is an unintended consequence, and it's illegal in the Supreme Court. Number two, this is strangling small business owners. You're basically forcing these people to pay for the sex lives of their employees. And it's an attack on religion. It's an attack on Catholics especially. But if I was a Republican strategist, I wouldn't want to talk about abortion or contraception at all.
I don't even think you have to talk about that.
I remember they wasted the entire spring talking about Sandra Fluck and birth control when they should have been talking about the economy,
they don't even need to engage in it in a certain sense. Because, you know, let the Democrats go ahead and put up this, you know, false rhetoric, this false narrative trying to scare and panic people with facts that simply aren't there. I mean, they're flat out inaccurate, erroneous, throw a flag on the play, bye. You know, I look at the numbers like the economy and jobs, that people, whether or not this economy is going in the right direction, and making those kind of choices, somebody should be put in that actually has a firm grasp on how to make money and how Americans can do it too.
But even with this issue, you could run on it with it's a freedom of conscience. It's a freedom of expression issue. And you win on all accounts with that because it's not just about religion.
Right.
Well, speaking of jobs, Kimberly.
Yes.
Do you ever feel like you're in the wrong job? Like you just don't want to be there? You don't belong?
Don't answer anybody. It's a setup.
Well, wait till you hear how many Americans say they want to change their careers. And it's not just people who are starting out. Also, a kissing congressman announcing he will seek re-election even after a surveillance camera caught him smooching with a staffer who's not his wife, by the way. We'll look at politicians who have bounced back after sex scandals and those who haven't. Of course, we'll ask why. Why? Kissy kiss.